Is your budgie sick? How do you recognize pain and illness? A budgie is a master at hiding suffering and pain. This behavior is vital in nature. An injured or sick bird quickly becomes prey or attacked by its conspecifics and avoided in order to protect the flock. By the time you realize he's missing something, it's often too late. How to detect diseases in time and how to react, you'll find out in this video. Hello and welcome to Wellness and Happiness Birdie's channel. My little budgie, Pincel, was very sick. She had macrorebatosis, fluffed heavily and regurgitated grains. She sat apathetically in a corner and became thinner and thinner, although she was usually the liveliest in the swarm. I had to act quickly and take her to the avian veterinarian. It was almost too late. It is especially important to observe your birds well and to know their normal behavior in order to detect the smallest changes. It takes a bit of practice to recognize typical behaviors and postures in pain. If your parakeet is in pain, it moves less than usual and rests. Depending on which part of the body hurts, the bird behaves differently. If he has pain in one leg, he pulls it into his plumage and spares it. He limps while running. If both legs hurt, he lies on his stomach to protect them. You don't notice anything when flying, only the landing seems bumpy. If he has pain in his wing or shoulder, he lets the wing hang a little or he pulls it up a bit, and the wing does not fit normally against the body. He moves little and avoids flying. They also avoid climbing, as they keep their balance with their wings. If it still has to fly, you can hear small squeaking sounds like the ouch in humans. When there is internal pain, Parakeet seems very calm, avoids movement, and sleeps a lot. Pinched nerves can cause paralysis in the legs. The leg is pulled up and the toes are stretched out wide. When a healthy bird fluffs, it looks round and smooth. When a sick bird fluffs with pain, the plumage looks shaggy and angular, just like Pincel's. My Herr Wolk, for example, who can't fly, fell his sternum from the cage roof. First the typical soft squeak, and then he turned on his back. He had pulled both legs up. I was terribly frightened. For 3 days he sat quietly in the padded sick cage with his plumage fluffed up until the pain got better. Then he slowly recovered, thanks to the cage rest. If your beeper is in pain, you can also tell by your eyes. A bird that is tired and resting closes its eyes by closing the upper and lower eyelids evenly in the middle of the eye. A suffering bird pulls up the lower eyelid, just like a person squints his eyes when he is in pain. In a healthy bird, the eyes look round, shiny and alert. With a sick beeper, they seem sad, tired, staring into space, absent and half open. If the parakeet only squints one eye, it is pain in the respective half of the head or in the sinuses. If a bird is injured or in pain, it must go to the avian veterinarian as soon as possible. Injuries are most obvious by bleeding, limping, or a drooping wing. Many diseases can also be clearly seen: a swollen, sticky eye, feather growth disorders, angular fluffing, a dusty coating on the nose, choking, or diarrhea. Especially in the case of diarrhea, it is particularly important to check the feathers on the cloaca. If they're glued together, it can be fatal. Other signs are not so noticeable. For example, the bird drinks more than usual, eats more, and still gets thinner and thinner, turns away from his partner, and doesn't want to cuddle so much anymore. That's a sign. The same applies when he is suddenly tamer and lets himself be petted when he didn't want to before, can hardly keep himself on the pole because of tiredness, or becomes increasingly fatter and lazy. Other alarm signs can be tail bobs, cracking breathing sounds, heavy breathing, constant sneezing, brownish, moist feathers over the nose, hanging on to the grate with the beak while sleeping, in the case of respiratory diseases. If a parakeet hen seems exhausted, sits there with her legs apart with her wings spread, turns in circles and breathes heavily, she has trouble laying and has to go to the avian veterinarian immediately. There is the greatest danger to life. A sick bird does not have a fever, but a low temperature. He freezes and has cold feet, fluffs a lot, and may shiver. The normal temperature for budgies is 41 degrees. If one of your darlings has such signs, take him to the vet with special training for birds. Don't hesitate and don't wait. The beeper doesn't show any signs for a long time and is already very sick when you notice it. If he lies on the floor of the cage or crawls somewhere, he can no longer keep himself on his feet and they clench convulsively into fists. It is too late. The bird dies within the next few minutes. Even though budgies are small animals that don't cost much, they don't deserve to suffer just because you don't want to spend money on the vet. By caring for an animal, you have also taken on the responsibility of making sure that it does not suffer, even if the treatment may cost more than the animal itself. Sometimes this also means having to have it euthanized. Therefore, observe your budgies carefully and notice every change in order to be able to react in time. See you next Friday to the next video. With a subscription, you're sure to be back. Bye-bye, and stay healthy with your beepers.